Hey there, Neely Salem here with another spiritual thought about Shabbat. Okay, I'm going to break my rules. Usually I do 1-minute videos, but this story is too incredible. It doesn't fit in 1 minute, so on a few occasions I will break the rules. Okay. This question comes to answer, why do we sing in Kabbalat Shabbat, and why specifically do we sing Lecha Dodi? Like, okay, it's about welcoming the Shabbat bride, but give me something deeper. I want some juice. All right. This story is just unbelievable, and it's a true story. Here we go. One day in Israel, probably a few decades ago, I think the story is set in the 70s, there was a family that went to synagogue on Friday night, and as is the custom in Israel, what they'll do at the end of synagogue is the gabbai, or like the person in charge of the synagogue, or the rabbi, will say, if anyone needs a Shabbat meal, please let us know and we'll arrange you with somebody. I used to do this as well when I lived in the old city of Jerusalem. I would take home anyone who needed from the kotel, Muslims, Jews, Arabs, whatever, you name it, sure, I'll have you for Shabbat dinner. So this family takes home a teenage boy, and they get to the meal, and he says, oh my gosh, can we sing that song that we sang at shul? And they're like, sure, which one? He's like, I think it's called Lecha Dodi. So they're like, oh, Lecha Dodi, no problem. So they sing, Lecha Dodi likat kala pene Shabbat nekabela. And they go through the whole song, yeah, yeah, da, 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 la, 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 la. And then he's like, oh, that was amazing. Could we do it again? And they're like, okay, listen, usually it's like a song we sing in shul. It's not like traditionally a song for the meal, but okay, if you love it so much, we'll do it. And they're singing it again, and this boy is just in the highest of heavens, and they're like, wow, okay, cool, you really like that song. What's your name anyways? We didn't even catch your name. And he goes, oh yeah, my name is Muhammad. And they're like, you mean Moshe? And he's like, no, Muhammad. He's like, oh, okay, where are you from, Muhammad? Oh, I'm from Ramallah. And they're like, you mean Ramla? And he's like, no, Ramallah. And they're like, well, this is interesting. You know, not your common yeshiva boy that you bring home. What's your story? Like, I don't understand. Like, why are you here at our Shabbat table, Muhammad? He says, I'll tell you, it's a story. So he says, when I was in high school, I've dropped out since, but when I was in high school, we had to do a project, something that interested us. And I was always interested in, like, why does everyone hate the Jews so much? Like, what did they do so wrong that everybody hates them? So I started learning, and I really didn't find too much that was true about what we had been taught. You know, it seems like they were just kind of good people who, you know, I don't know, it just didn't add up. So I presented this in school, and that was it. I was getting death threats, and people were threatening to beat me up, and it was a bad scene. And there started to be danger and violence. I said to my mom, Mom, I gotta get out of here. The kids are gonna kill me. And so she understood, and she said, okay, I really wish you well. Please be in touch when you can, but I understand that you wanna go, I understand. She said, but listen, when you go, I want you to have this picture of us with our ancestors, because the truth is we're Jewish. And I even have a picture of your ancestors around a grave of some famous rabbi, so they'll know that you really truly are Jewish. Now, this is another part of the true stories. This happens a lot, especially back in the 70s and 80s, where a lot of Jewish women were married into Arab families and they lost their identity. So, okay, two truths. Anyways, so the family says, wow, that's an incredible story. I can't believe it. Do you have the picture? And he's like, yeah, I do. I'll bring it. So he goes to his bag and he gets the picture out and he brings it, and the family's jaw drops to the floor, because it's his parents and grandparents standing around the grave of Rav Shlomo Alkabetz. Who was Rav Shlomo Alkabetz? The author of Lecha Dodi. In fact, the first verses spell out in Hebrew the name Shlomo. The first letter of each verse spells Shlomo. So the family is just mind blown, because this boy had never heard Lecha Dodi before. It was simply in his blood. It was in his spiritual blood. And this is the deeper reason why we sing Zmirot and songs, and especially Lecha Dodi during Kabbalat Shabbat. We sing in Kabbalat Shabbat not just because it's beautiful, not just to welcome the Shabbat bride, but many of these tunes have been carried on the winds for many generations, and not just in the winds, but in our DNA and in our blood and in our souls. And they're asking for us to tune in again. So this is one of the reasons we sing Lecha Dodi, to remind us truly of the music and the prayer. You know, music and prayer in Hebrew, it's 515. It's the same gematria, the same numerological value. Tefillah and shirah are the same. So we bring these tefillot, these songs, these prayers down from the ether into our hearts and out of our mouth. And something magical happens, because how could it be that this boy who had never heard this song, who didn't even know who his ancestor was, kept begging to hear the song again and again? So if it happened to him, I wonder what's happening to you in Kabbalat Shabbat when you hear these songs as well. Cool. Thanks for listening, and maybe I'll see you at a Kabbalat Shabbat soon. And the rest of the videos, please God, will be 1 minute.